Hello, Pradeep. How are you doing?
Hi, ma'am. I'm very well. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well too. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
taking
you.
the
Thank you.
time for us.
Thanks for having me here. It's a pleasure to share my experience with everyone. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, congratulations on getting admit offer from Chicago Booth, one of the M7 schools. How does it feel?
To be honest, initially when I received the phone call, it was a surreal experience. I still didn't believe that I actually got in. For actually a couple of days, I just had to collect myself and put myself together to actually realize that all the hard work that I put in, that we've put in together, finally paid off. And I've come to the realization now that I'll be a student at Chicago Booth, and it feels wonderful. And
Of
I,
course,
looking forward to the journey ahead of me.
of course. I'm so happy for you. Can you tell our viewers something about yourself? Where are you from? Where did you do your undergrad? And what are you doing now?
Sure. So I'm originally from New York. That's where I was raised, and currently I'm in sunny San Diego. That's where I'm running my business. I attended Stony Brook University in New York, and I studied biology, and I got a bachelor's in that in the ecology and evolution track. Um, Currently, I'm doing my own startup. It's a food space snack food startup that I'm working on right now. And what we primarily focus on is mindful snacking. And we try to provide alternative options, better for you, guilt-free snacks to our consumers. And what I'm currently doing right now is incorporating a superfood snack from back home in my country into the American market. And we'll be looking to launch sometime this first quarter. I would say in the middle of March, and I'm really looking forward to that.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Your career journey is incredibly unique. From a medical student at Get Dental School to an entrepreneur, you have had an unconventional but successful career path. Could you throw some light on your decision to switch from medical profession to a startup in the food space?
Sure, absolutely. I can walk you through the events and how I transitioned into the food space industry. So it started off me applying to dental schools, and that was primarily because that's what my parents wanted me to do. There was a huge pressure on me for that to go into the health professions. At the time, I took upon that and I applied to dental schools, but realizing when I got into lab and when I was actually working and performing certain procedures on mannequins and dummies, I realized that this is not what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And I had to make a decision whether or not I wanted to continue for the next 3 years doing this, following what my parents wanted me to do, or do I want to follow my passion and do what I enjoy doing? So I had to make a difficult but very conscious decision, whether or not I had to continue or I wanted to continue. So what I did was I took off into the venture of open innovation. So what I started off with was product licensing, and to me that was very unique. And being a creative person that I am, it gave me all the opportunities, all the tools to open innovation, and that was not a great success at first for me. But I knew that I wanted to stay in the world of business and continue my journey into the entrepreneurial world. So at the time when I was doing my product licensing company, I was working with kitchen utensils.
Okay.
So it's very easy to break into the market, uh, especially in the kitchen market, and that's what I was primarily focused on. But due to some lack of research, that wasn't successful. But it was a great transition for me from moving into product licensing and the kitchen utensils
Okay.
into the actual food space industry where I can actually sell
Mhm.
food and sell snacks. So I think it was a great transition for me, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I decided to open up my own company that I'm the founder of and CEO,
Mhm.
um, that specializes in the superfood snacks. So one of the trends that I was noticing at the time was a lot of these individuals who have been opening up their own companies. They were introducing snacks from back home, from where they're from, into the
Uh-huh.
American market. And I felt like I fit perfectly in there. And there have been so many snacks that I've been snacking on that are very healthy for you, because I'm a big advocate of better for you and healthy eating. So I think that was a perfect fit for me to providing that into the market. and that's where I'm currently standing right now. And I'm happy I made that decision,
Uh,
and I'm looking forward to being successful in this venture.
of course, you will be. What challenges did you face? Like,
Uh, Yes. So there were many challenges facing when I had to start up my own company because the best way to learn is to do everything on your own instead
yeah.
of that's what I believe. I think the best way to learn is doing everything on your own instead of always looking out for handouts and help. And there's going to be a lot of bumps on the road, a lot of obstacles you have to face, and some days it'll just push you back 2 days back or 3 days back, but you just have to keep pushing. And there's going to be bumps in every stage and every phase of the company that you're working on, but you just have to push through. And once you what I believe is once you have a blueprint of how to actually create the company and how the company works, you can apply that to any other company. And that's exactly what I did. Is I learned the hard way opening up my product licensing company, and then I was able to apply it with ease into my food space startup. So once you have that blueprint, it's very fairly easy, to move forward and be successful. And one of the other things, problems that I ran into was improper research.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to dig deep into what you're going into and what you're looking forward to doing. Um, One of the problems that I was facing when I was doing product licensing is staying in touch with the same individuals throughout the process that you're trying to the companies that you're trying to sell your products to,
Mm-hmm.
because sometimes you're talking to an individual and you'll get responses a week later, 2 weeks later. So you have to be determined and you have to be disciplined to keep reaching out. And there'll be instances where you call and you get a response back a week later, and then you won't get another response a month from them. And then
Uh-huh.
you call back and you reach out a month from there, and then next thing you find out that the person's not working there anymore, and they've moved on to a different company.
Got
And
it.
then you have to start the process all over again. So I think that was one of the hardest parts in the first business, is just to keep
Keep
focused
reading.
and keep pushing. Exactly. And also, another problem was finding your niche. In
Mm-hmm.
a world today, it's really important to find where your product fits, because you can have a product and not have a consumer base. So that's pretty much, it's pointless. So you want to make sure that you have both product and a consumer base that will be buying from you. So finding your niche is very important. And that's something that I learned the hard way through the first company. Now
Mm-hmm.
I'm applying it because I've learned, and you don't make any mistakes in life, and you just learn from them. So I
Exactly.
was applying that to the second company that I'm working on right now. And last but not least, for my food startup brand, product development was really hard. You want to make sure that a product that not a lot of consumers have seen before. You want to make sure that they're getting that first good impression of your product when they're tasting it. So you want to make sure that the product development and the product taste of the actual product is spot on, and
Mm-hmm.
big thumbs up to moving forward. So a lot of challenges were faced throughout this entire process, to getting where I am today. But these are just some of the things that I had to face in my journey.
Interesting. Future entrepreneurs have a lot to learn from your experience.
Yes.
You're just going to launch your startup. Where does MBA fit in? Why do you want to do MBA now?
Yes. So I'm at a point where, I'm very close to launching my startup. And where the MBA fits into that is, there's a lot of skills that I'm lacking right now. Getting, opening up a company and getting to where I am right now is one thing. And then actually applying those skills that I currently lack. For example, marketing skills that are going to be very important once the company is launched. That's going to be very crucial to the company's success. I want to be able to make sure that I have those proper marketing skills. And I want to be able to make sure that I have the proper networking and sales skills that I'll be able to apply into my company. So I believe that getting an MBA right now, it's the proper time for me, and it'll be the best time and most crucial time for me, to lead my company to being successful.
Makes sense. What are your career goals, Pradeep?
Yes. So, ultimately the career goal is to be successful in the food space industry. That's what I'm striving for right now. But if you were to talk to me, what my goals are for the next 1 year or the 2 years, I definitely want to see myself in retail stores. I
Okay.
would say my goal right now is about 200 stores within a year and a half. That's my goal right now. I know it seems kind of far-fetched, but I have to work towards it. The higher goals you set, the more higher you'll reach. So I set higher expectations for myself, and then I achieve even higher if I do that. I don't want to, sky's the limit, and I don't want to lower my
Of course.
expectations. So that'll be my short-term goals, and then also gaining the proper business knowledge is one of them. And then also one of the things that I want to do is give back to the community. I guess you can say this is my long-term goal, is when I know the company is successful and I am able to contribute, I would like to give some proceedings of the company earnings to farmers back home. That's where we get our products from. I want to be able to cut out the middleman buying from big companies. I think it does a big disservice to the actual farmers who are working day in and day out to getting the products out. So I want to be able to eliminate the middleman and buy strictly straight from the farmers themselves, and to be able to help them, especially as the one especially the ones in economically challenged areas. So I want to be able to create a system for them where they're able to sell directly to the consumer instead of having to go to a company that's paying them much less than they would get from the actual consumer.
Right.
So I think that'll be a great way for me to actually contribute to my community back home, and then be able to help them financially as well. I think it'll fit in perfectly with that.
I'm impressed. You
Thank you.
have a absolutely clear idea about your goals and you want to give back to the people back home. So
Yes.
that's really commendable.
Yes, thank you.
You applied to only one school, Booth. How is Booth the best school for you?
Yes, so applying a booth, there was a lot of research that was done into that, and I wanted to make sure when I get my MBA that I want to get it from the best school that fits for me and that I fit into as well. So I
Mhm.
wanted to make sure that I have that same connection with the school. And instead of applying to multiple schools, I researched a lot of other schools, and to me, Booth was the best fit for me personally. I'll be able to get a world class, education from faculty. You know, entrepreneurship being one of the highest concentrations among Booth students, I think I'll be able to benefit from that as well. Meet other like-minded individuals, be able to apply the Chicago approach into my mindset and my education, my journey. I'll be able to think, you know, um, a lot better than I do right now. I'll be able to find more solutions, better solutions, and more decision-making skills will be learned on through the process.
Mhm.
And also one of the biggest factors of me and most appealing factors to me was being able to participate, or being able to have the chance to be participating in the new venture challenge through the accelerator program at Booth School through the Polsky Center. That was a big plus for me because at the same time I'm getting a world-class education, I'll be able to broaden my business education. At the same time, I'll be able to participate in the accelerator program, which is nationally ranked number one.
Right.
And at this time, there's a huge rise in the food space industry at Chicago Booth, and I felt like that was the perfect fit for me to actually, pursue my MBA from Booth. And I think it'll be a wonderful and rewarding experience for me.
Of course. Sounds great. Can you tell us something about your GRE prep? I know you took GRE instead of GMAT. So, given the challenges you must be facing as a CEO, founder of your company, how did you find time for your test prep and what was your test prep strategy?
Sure, absolutely. So, I'm very familiar when it comes to standardized exams because, I had to give one in high school to get into college. I had to give one after college to get into dental school.
Yeah.
Now I had to give one, to get into MBA program. So I'm very familiar with the process and I know exactly what it takes. But I just wanted to let everyone know out there that um, you do have to score well, but don't let that score define who you are as a person and if you'll be able to excel in that MBA program. So if you feel like that you haven't scored well, and if you feel like that you're not, scoring well at the moment, just keep pushing. And there are other ways to show the school who you are and that you're capable of excelling in their program. So
Right.
I believe the biggest challenge for me when I was preparing for my GRE was just to get into that study mode, because it had been a while since I actually sat down and had to study for something because I was so busy, with my startups. So just to create that discipline and strict discipline to actually sit down and study, I would recommend what students can do is, spend 1 hour, the first couple of days just to get
Mhm.
into that mode and mindset, and
Right.
then gradually start increasing the time that they're allocating to studying. Because, it's not easy when you're having your own startup and you have 100 other things to do.
Of course.
um, you know, uh, 100 companies to call and call suppliers and manufacturers and, the chef designers. There's a lot of things that goes into, starting your own brand and having it out in the market. So it wasn't easy at the time, but you just have to show great discipline and be very focused. At the end of the day, you can always retake it, but, just make sure that you're dedicated and putting in that proper time and efficient studying, to score well into your GRE and GMAT prep. Um, and it only gets easier from there. And then some of the things I used for GRE was, the material that was provided by the ETS service themselves. That's some of the services that I use. And if anyone needs any tip on how to actually stay focused, is they can make index cards. I like to write personally everything down
Okay.
instead of staring at a computer screen the entire
Uh-huh.
day, because I know it gets hard and gets hard to study when you're looking at a computer screen. So make index cards, write everything down, especially the vocab words, because they come in really, really handy. You can flip through them while you're eating lunch, dinner. You can flip through them while you're walking outside for a little, jog,
Uh,
and it really helps. That's one of the advice that I would love to give because it really helped me tremendously, and it helped me retain a lot of the information as well, and not just verbal for quant as well. You can write down the formulas. You can write down things that you might think you can forget. So these are some of the ways that I was able to excel and uh, prep for my GRE.
these are valid points. How much time do you suggest they should give to test prep?
To me, initially, it was an unproductive first month for me, trying to get into the study mode because there were so many other things that I had to do, in regards to my business. I would say don't push it too far and allocate at least about 1 to 3 months into prep. I think 3 months is kind of maybe pushing it too far, but just between a month and 3 months, I think would be a great, time span for someone to do fairly well in the GRE. I think that's the amount of time they should be able to take to excel. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also depends on your own learning style.
Exactly. Yeah. If there's like, if you have a lot of weaknesses that you have to work on, and it might take you a lot longer. To me, my verbal wasn't as weak um, as other students that I saw in forums.
Yeah.
My quant was on point as well. It was like just average, but I was able to bring that average quant that I had initially to much higher, by spending the correct amount of time. So that's another point that I want to bring up is don't spend too much time on the things that you know that you're really good at, because it feels good to keep studying what you already know and what you're good at.
Yeah.
Try to spend that time efficiently. Try to study the things that you're not good at, because
Uh-huh.
it'll definitely help you in the longer in the long run. And that's what I was able to do. I was really good with verbal, but
Hmm.
I didn't spend too much time on that. I was able to spend too much time. I was allocating my time to quant because that's what I had to work on. So that's one of the ways that I was able to perform fairly well on the exam.
This is a valuable tip too. Yeah. So, and now about MBA application. Can you share your application strategy, planning, and preparation?
Yes. So when it came to the application, process, I wanted to make sure that everything was perfect, and I portrayed my story into the admissions committee without them even being able to speak to me. And I think that's one of the ways that I was able to do that. So some of the things you want to do is you want to attend all the events that are offered from school. I attended every single event there was. Even if it was a repeat event, I would still attend because there may be some questions that other students ask
Mhm.
that you might not be thinking about, and it'll help you tremendously. There are some events where if you can't make it and you miss it, you can go on the website and they actually have a whole list of the questions that were actually asked by the students and answered. So they're all recorded. But the events with the admissions committee, definitely try to attend those. Definitely try to make yourself familiar amongst the committee and make yourself known out there. That's one of the biggest ways that I think it has helped me by attending all the events. Um, Also, I would suggest talk to students. I talk to a lot of students, and each individual student has their own feedback that they can give me on what I can do better and what the admissions committee is looking for. So that was also a tremendous help for me. And another thing that I would like to suggest is GMAT Club. It's very underrated, and a lot of students, don't really necessarily look into that. But there's a lot of like, if you're an introvert and you don't want to talk to current students and you don't want to attend the events, I think the GMAT Club would be a perfect place for you to sit down and read the valuable information that is provided, by current students or alumni, and it's a great resource for every MBA applicant or aspirant that are looking to apply to the MBA program.
So you were visiting GMAT Club also quite frequently. It's a treasure house of
Yes,
information and
absolutely.
guidance.
Absolutely. I think it's really underrated and everyone should be able to, use that effectively. And I was able to do that and it helped me tremendously.
Yeah, good for you.
Thank you.
Looking back, what was the most challenging aspect of the application process? How did you approach that challenge and overcome it?
Yes. So I would just like to put out there the entire application strategy, sorry, the entire application process is a very hard process and you want to make sure that you're allowing enough time to work on your application. So one of the things that I was having trouble with was my essays. I felt, apart from GRE, apart from my resume, I felt like essays was that one place where I can effectively communicate with the admissions committee, because I'm coming from a totally different, um, it's been a journey, so it's a different journey than others. So I think like to be able to effectively communicate with the admissions committee, I think that was a perfect place for me to do that, and that was also at the same time the hardest place for me to do that, is be able to concisely and effectively communicate myself and who I am as a person and why I would be a best fit into their program and what I have to offer. And I think that's something that I was able to work very well on, and I would like to give all that thanks to you. We worked together. I was able to use my essay review services. Although it was last minute, I know I reached out to you very, very last minute,
No.
but I knew that this would tremendously help me and results speak for themselves. And it has helped me a lot and tremendously. I was able to gain admission into Chicago Booth. You helped me tremendously with the essays. Um,
Thank you.
you're a great storyteller, and that's exactly what I was looking for, um, through the service. And I think working together we were able to compile that perfect application essay to really convey who I am as a person without the admissions committee actually speaking to me in person. So it was a great experience working with you with that, and I give all the thanks and credit to you and to us to making that perfect essay, to really getting my point across.
Thank you
And
so much,
ultimately,
Pradeep. I
thank
also
you. It was
enjoyed working with you a lot. It was a great experience for me too. And I'm so
absolutely,
delighted for you.
it may have been a little different for you, but working with someone from a different, a different kind of place and journey that I've been through. So your patience really helped me a lot, and you being able to understand my story and be able to perfectly convey that really helped me out. So I really thank you for that and all your help and guidance.
Thank you for giving me that opportunity. That I would say that.
Thank you.
So, what would you advise other applicants who are undergoing the same, who are facing the same challenges? Like, unconventional career journey like you had, do you have any
Yes.
advice for people?
Yes, absolutely. So I would say the best advice that I would give right off the bat is be yourself and be authentic. No one can better express themselves more than how you can express yourself, personally. So really think about why you want an MBA and why do you want it at this specific time in your life, and just be true to why you want it. And I believe that the admissions committee can see right through a person,
Yeah.
if they're lying or if they're not being true to who they really are and what they really want. And to be able to, this is the same advice that I'm giving to, future applicants, and because this is the same advice that I got from current students that I was able to network with and
Mm-hmm.
speak with. And they all told me that the one thing that they all told me that was in common was to be yourself and just be true to who you really are. And you won't face any problems throughout the way. And I was able to effectively do that. And that's one piece of advice that I would give to everyone. It's just to be authentic and really, really think about why you want to do an MBA at this point in your life.
No two people are same. So no two people will have the same reasons for pursuing an MBA. So being yourself
Yeah.
is the most important thing here.
Yes.
What are your outside of work interests? Can you tell us something about your interests and hobbies other than
Mm,
your startup? That's your
yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It may seem like I'm very, busy with work and I'm just very work oriented, but I'm a human also, and I like enjoying other things besides work, taking some time off to myself and getting a mental break. And one of the things that allows me to do that is hiking. I'm a
Mhm.
big hiking enthusiast. I love hiking. It's a great way for me to escape the actual reality for just a little bit and
Right.
really reflect on life and really get my mental back together. So that's one of the ways that I'm able to do that. I haven't been able to do that recently because of the pandemic. I had to really be safe. And another thing that I like to do is volunteering my time to organizations. It's I'm a big advocate of giving back to the community, like I mentioned before. So for me, able to give back to younger children, whether it's through the Sikh temple where I go every Saturday and Sunday whenever I have time.
Mhm.
Being able to help them there with any sports related activities, or serving food, or working at a child care center and be able to work with children, or working at another thing that I was doing is I was working with individuals from other countries, and I was helping them be accustomed to the American lifestyle, which
Mhm.
I think was very important for them to get used to, because it's hard being alone and not being used to the American lifestyle, especially when you're from a different country. So I love giving my time back to the community and volunteer work. Also,
Right.
I would say I love doing yoga, and I'm also a big advocate of healthy eating. um, I wanted to make the best out of this global pandemic last year, and my eating habits weren't that great. So I decided to change that during last year, and I was able to lose a total of 40 pounds, which I still cannot believe.
Wow, I
Yeah,
can't believe it.
yeah,
That's huge.
yeah. I wanted to make the best out of the pandemic and get the most out of it. I didn't want to like stress about the smaller things, and I wanted to make sure that I'm taking something positive out of this
Mhm.
experience, which was a low experience for everyone. So I wanted to create that positive mindset for myself, and I was able to work out more, do more yoga, more jogging, and actually just being more conscious about what I'm eating, because that's one of the things that my company and my brand represents is
Right.
mindful snacking. So I wanted to make sure that the things that I'm conveying in through my company, that I'm also applying in my everyday life. And that's one of the best ways to be successful, is what you preach and you tell others is you
Right.
have to be able to do those things as well to be successful.
Of course.
So these are some of the things that I enjoy doing. I'm a fun guy. I like to do other things besides just work oriented, just like everyone else.
Yeah. And you're community oriented also. I'm really impressed with your community
Thank
work.
you.
And this is one of the highlights of your resume.
Thank you. Yes.
Finally, as you know, COVID-19 has turned lives upside down globally in the past 1 year. What are the macro trends going to be in the post COVID world?
Yes. So you see, these trends take place when there's like disruptions in normal everyday life. And one of the things that I can think of right off the bat is virtual learning, and how that's going to be impacted. Because of the pandemic, everything has gone virtual, especially school, and some of the things that I can mention as well is even parties, birthday parties, weddings. These are all the things that have gone virtual, which is hard to believe, but that's just one of the ways that the world is coping at the
Right.
moment, and the best way, because they have to practice social distancing because of COVID-19. So these are the best ways and best effective strategies to use to implement that. So I think these trends will continue, especially post COVID
Right.
as well. People are getting more comfortable doing things online and virtually. There's experiences where, you know, Disney, they're using more of a virtual experience than a physical experience. So they're implementing, a lot of brands and companies are implementing these services. And I think
Mhm.
that's going to be a huge trend. And another thing that I can think of that I can apply to my company straight is the rise in e-commerce shopping.
Mhm.
And one of the particular groups that I wanted to focus on was the elderly. They're very old school, and they want to go into retail shops personally, physically, to be able to get their products. But because of the pandemic, they weren't able to do that because of a lot of closures, and they had to practice social distancing, and they had no other way but to do e-commerce and online shopping. And these are some of the things that they had to personally get used to. The younger generation is already getting used to it because that's what
Right.
they've been doing for a very long time. But the elderly, that's something that they had to get used to. And I believe that they may have gotten used to it by now. It's been a year. So this is also another trend that I think will continue happening, especially in the elderly population. So I think that's very crucial to my company as well, because I'll be able to reach a broader amount, a broader space of consumers to be able to sell my product to as well at the same time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Is there anything, Pradeep, that you think I should have asked or you would like to tell our viewers?
Yes, I'd also like to mention that I haven't mentioned earlier is, upon receiving my interview invite from Chicago booth, um, I had to work on my interview skills, and it had been quite a while since I had, an interview for graduate school, which was about 4 years ago for dental school. So that's something that I had to brush up on, and I knew that I've I've made it through 50%, and I just had to get the other 50% into the bag, and I
Hmm.
had to use, none other than your services for my essay review. So I reached out to you and I told you that, um, that I got the interview invite. You were very delighted. Thank you very much. And your interview prep service helped me tremendously because it made me realize what my strengths were, something that I'm good at, something that I can portray to the interviewer, and also helped me realize what my weaknesses are. And that's something that I was able to work on tremendously and helped me a lot. And I remember initially telling you that I was kind of scared because I've never had a virtual interview ever in my life. And, all the interviews I've ever had were all in person. So this one was definitely, different for me, and I didn't know what to expect. But from your experience working with other students, you were able to effectively guide me through the process and told me to just, stay true to who I am and be yourself. And that's exactly what I did. And, we worked with great questions that you asked that, some of the questions that you asked were actually asked by my interviewer himself. So that was also another plus for me using your services.
Yeah.
And you were able to really highlight effectively the things that I had to work on, and also really help me calm down through the process before the interview. And it, ultimately, I received my decision, and, I got accepted to my dream school, my top choice. And also, I would like to add to anyone else that's in, similar shoes as who I am and thinking about, making a switch into a different career, a different industry. I just wanted to, point out that don't be scared to take that leap. Um, you know, listen to your heart. Everything happens for a reason. I'm an example of that. So just don't be afraid to take that leap and move forward. And in the end, you'll be successful.
I'm so glad the interview service I gave you was helpful, and I really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you for taking
Yes,
time for talking to us, and
likewise.
I wish you good luck with the launch of your startup, and I wish you good luck with your booth experience. Thank you so much.
No, thank you very much. Throughout this process, I was able to, gain a friend and someone who I'll be able to share my experiences for the rest of my life, because, there was a huge impact made through this process in my life. I was able to, with your help, with your experience, expertise, I was able to accomplish what I've been wanting to do. And I feel like I've gained a friendship for life. So I would like to
Of
thank you for
course.
your services.
Oh, yeah, of
And
course. I
it's
really
truly
value that.
it's truly a blessing to be able to work with you and ultimately gain acceptance into my dream school. So thank you very much for your service.
It's my privilege to have worked with you, and I'm sure your valuable insights and your experience will be helpful to many people around the world who are scared of taking that leap, taking the risk of
Yes.
starting a new career. So you will be a valuable resource to other people around there. Thank you so much. Have a good
Yes, it's my
day.
pleasure. Thank you very much. You too. Thank you.